Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Michael Pietrobon. He is a book designer from Toronto and the founder of Foglio, and he provides compelling, highly personalized book design and publishing services to authors. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thank you, AJ. It's great to be here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Michael. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll learn from you the secrets of compelling book design. And before we come to this, let's understand a bit about your journey, Michael, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
So I've been designing books for about 10 years. Started with academic publishing, working at York University in Toronto, which is my alma mater. And from there, started working for various self-publishing organizations. One I was at for a long time. I learned a lot about the importance of the one-on-one communication, the personalized design. And I've been doing this for about 10 years. Earlier this year, I started Foglio, which is my self-publishing service. And I aim to give very personalized service to every author who I encounter, whether it's a professional author who's written, dozens of books, or a first-time author publishing their memoir, family history, a smaller project. Whatever it is, I like to give it the same attention and focus that they would find in a professional venue. So that's the service I've been providing.
Absolutely. So I want to understand from you, Michael, is that, nowadays this whole book business is growing up. A lot of people are self-publishing. A lot of options are there, especially with the advent of AI. So more and more people can put their thoughts across and come into the form of books. So does it also mean a lot of business for you?
It does, because there are more authors than ever before. And like you said, AI, the advent of AI technology has allowed many people to write, and not only to write, but to augment their writing, edit their writing, enhance their writing, research in ways they could never do before. So it's really opened up the opportunity for so many people to approach writing a book who may not have thought it possible before. In this digital age, everyone can be a publisher, essentially. It takes very little, to get a book out there, even if it's just an ebook or through print on demand. It's very simple, very straightforward, and the costs are fairly low.
Right. And that is where my question is, that along with artificial intelligence, you can publish things that you want. A lot of services have also come up in terms of designing, templates and everything else. And many people think AI can write for me, and the templates, all these templates will help me get a good book cover, almost a design there, and they can just insert the text. I want to understand, is that enough? That is where you come in as a book designer. How should one look at that? Are they making a mistake by relying so much on just those templated designs? Or is it, there is much more to a book design than that to make your story come out? How do you help us understand this part of this whole thing?
That's a great question, AJ. And, there's a few different layers to it. AI can do a reasonable job in making a book cover for someone. And there are authors who really don't care about design, aren't very particular, and that will suffice for them. But for the vast majority of authors, I think the personal touch of a personalized design can go a very long way for marketing, because, many authors may fall into the trap of believing that it's just the cover or just the typesetting on the inside that we're working on. Couldn't be farther from the truth. When we design the cover, we're designing a brand image, your author branding. So it starts with the cover, it carries off into the interiors, into the ebook design, but that also follows into all the marketing components, right? And as far as I know, right now, there's no AI technology that can mimic that process. Furthermore, there really isn't any AI that can personalize it in the way that another human being can. And, like we were just saying about AI writing tools, there are plenty of AI writing tools, but I still think most readers can tell if something's been artificially created or if it's been created by a real human being. And so I I would advise that any authors using AI to design their books would be wary of this and maybe consult with friends and family to see if this thing really does pass that test of being a believable, compelling cover. But for the most part, you're going to get the best bang for your buck with a professional designer. That's the way it is right now. The technology just hasn't caught up to that yet.
Right, Michael. And that is where I want to understand for a lot of people who are experts in their own field, but not expert in terms of book design. Many a times, when we talk of book design, it almost like they're talking about cover, book cover. And anyone can think, okay, that design has to be good and that can be got from anywhere. And then, why to spend unnecessarily on that? And then the self-publishing, because I've written something, I can get it edited, there are so many tools also. I am a good writer. I will take help of AI, fill up the knowledge gap, get a good cover, and that is. Help us understand then what is book design? What are the elements to book design as a individual who's an expert in something, wants to go for self-publishing? These are the things, I should remember in terms of book design.
Well, when it comes to book design, many authors fall into this trap of believing that it's just the cover and then the interiors can be cast aside and you just design them in Microsoft Word, export a PDF, and you're done. But the way I look at it is the cover design is what attracts new readers to your book, right? It's the first instance that people have of your book. But good typesetting, good interior design, especially if you have images and end notes and footnotes and complex formatting, is what keeps your readers reading. So in this very competitive book market that we have today, it's not enough for an author just to attract a reader. They have to stick with the reader and ensure that the reader sticks with them to ensure good reviews, because now it's not just the press that reviews books, right? It's everyone. Everyone who reads a book can review it on Amazon or any other retailer where they purchase a book. So it's essential that everything is optimized. And what I try to do when I design a book, not only to design a beautiful cover, I design interiors that match the cover, match the style that we have going on with the cover, that matches the theme of the book, but also keeps readers engaged and has respect for the reader's time and their eyes. Because, I can't tell you the number of times I've opened up a book, started reading it, found the typeface was too small or not very well aligned or terrible line spacing, terrible white space. And I've put it down because it's difficult to read. So this is a very real concern, and a professional book designer can address this head on.
Right. A lot of people, may not have that much of enough resources or budget. And so, how do they calibrate? They may have a good story. Many, even if they have a budget, maybe they think it's not necessary. That they can do without that sort of a hiring someone. Even a lot of companies who sell such services, templates and all that, they also can. I've seen some that a book designer will cost you this, but this will cost you just this, and then you are set. How do they calibrate both the online facilities that are available for them free or on some money basis, as well as looking at a book designer? Should everyone go for a book designer, or should go at least when this sort of a situation comes? How should they choose? And if you can give some idea in terms of cost wise also, that yes, it can, there will be some return on investment if they go for a professional book designer.
So that's another great question, AJ. And the thing about it is, like, I understand a lot of authors may not have the resources to hire a professional designer, because like services like those I offer are, for many people, very expensive, right? Or somewhat expensive. But I think the discussion should be centered around price versus cost. And what is the cost of not having a well-designed book, right? Because authors are authors and they can write and they're great at that. But for the most part, I haven't really met too many authors who are good at design or have a good eye for design, not like a true designer, right? So they may think something looks good and it looks good to them, and their friends and family see it and they say, it looks pretty good. They put it on Amazon, and when the public sees it, it has this look, and that look is the self-published look, as I call it. And you can tell when a book is self-published versus professionally published just by the design. What I try to do in my design work is to blur that line, sort of, not in a deceptive way, but I want to present a book in as professional a manner as possible. So when it comes down to the price, sure, the price might be high as an initial starting point, but the value comes later on when people see this book. And people judge books by their cover, even though we're always told not to. When customers encounter this book, whether it's as a thumbnail on Amazon or on a bookshelf, they'll be more compelled to purchase it if it is a beautiful book, right? So the upfront cost of investing in design may seem high, but ultimately it's worth it, because it's the best marketing for your book.
Right. So suppose a lot of people who will not be able to afford that much, what's the way they should look at their whole book design thing, choosing the right, either in, if they can do it for themselves, what are the common mistakes that they generally make that they can avoid or fix them? And also those who want to go for a book designer, then how do you know who is a good book designer? Just because they show you some samples, does that mean? That can also be not fully true. How do you make sure that you are hiring a good book designer?
Well, I'll answer your last question first. So it's certainly the case that not every book designer, no matter how good they are, is suitable to every book. Like, there are many projects that I've was about to take on, saw the content of the book, see, this isn't really a good fit for me, and tell the author to move on. So I would advise any authors who are looking for a professional designer to just look at the designer's back catalog, look at their portfolio, and see if their style resonates with you. Like, my style, for example, is fairly minimalist, a little edgy and unconventional. That suits some authors. It doesn't suit every author, right? And that doesn't mean that any designer can't conform to what you want. But just take a look at their portfolio and make a thoughtful decision before moving into anything. To answer your first question, authors who don't have these resources, I mean, it is possible for an author to design their own cover, but the first thing I would say is get a list of books that you really enjoy the cover of, or the interiors, whatever you're working on designing. And honestly, start with imitation. Imitate these covers. If it's a certain element or the way the fonts are, or the coloring, whatever it is, start to modify it from a point of imitation, and then you'll sort of build your own design language from there. To be honest, that's how I start a lot of my book designs. I get inspiration from other book cover designers. I see what the trends are, and I see, what, this is a design I would like to approach in a similar manner. And then as I continue working on it, then it becomes unique. But at the start, a lot of my projects are very derivative of other projects. So I'd say that's a good start. And I would say, keep it simple, as simple as possible. There's no reason to overly complicate a design. If you're doing it yourself, tools like Canva, or even if you can get a license for Adobe InDesign or something like that, you can make a very good cover with very minimal skills in these softwares. So it is possible for an author to do it themselves.
Right. And when you talk of, highly personalized book design, what is this highly personalized? Is it according to the story, or is it according to the author or writer?
It's according to both. So I'll have a discovery meeting, much like what we're doing right now, and speak to an author. They'll tell me about their book, and they'll tell me the key points and themes and elements they would maybe like to include on the cover. But then what I do to add an extra personalized touch is to ask for certain passages in the book that relate to elements they want to capture in the cover, right? So authors will give me a list of passages in the book. I'll read them, and I will come up with about 4 or 5 different proofs, and we will refine from there. So part of my service involves unlimited revisions, right? So I don't stop revising until my authors are completely satisfied. And through that process of working with them, I become almost like the tool, right? And they are envisioning their cover. Now, of course, there is my design expertise, and I will advise accordingly. But in terms of capturing the essence of their book, it all unfolds throughout this long collaborative process.
Right. And in terms of, the practical aspect, that this sort of personalized design will help the book or the story sell better. Uh, how would you want to put it? Normal author will say, my story is a good story, and it will certainly sell, whether there are other elements or not. How do you put that to a writer or author who is so passionate about what they have written, and they believe that that is what is going to sell?
Well, I mean, every author believes that their work is special, and in a certain way, it always is. But there are so many books out there, and it's difficult to know if a book's going to sell beforehand, especially if it's a self-published book. Now, I don't remember the exact statistics, but some of the best-selling books in the world only sell a couple thousand copies, and these are books by very prominent authors, right? So I would say authors should manage their expectations, put in the best effort they can, and that involves very good editing and very good book design and very good writing, of course. And share the book with as many people as possible. Don't be afraid to give it away for free. That's actually one method that really works well for authors. There's one author I've been working with who just gives his book away for free with a little bookmark that has a QR code that goes straight to the Amazon review page. And from there, reviews the book. It gets reviews right away. And this pushed his book to the top of Amazon lists in his category. So it's a scary world out there for a new author, right? It's a little intimidating, but I think if you're conscious of what your readers are looking for, and you're true to yourself, you will find an audience for your book.
Right, right. Tell us a bit about your company, Folio or Foglio. How do you pronounce that correctly?
Foglio. So it's an Italian word, so the G is silent there.
Okay, okay. So Folio, how do you work? A lot of people now in different parts of the world. Do you work online? People, can anyone from any part of the world approach you for your services?
Yep. I work with people all over the world, mostly in Canada and the US, but I can work with anyone all over the world because of this wonderful technology that's allowing us to speak. And correspondence through email and meetings, regular meetings like this. I'm happy to meet with people. So I'm in Toronto, and so I meet with people all over Southern Ontario here. But yeah, I work with anyone all over the world.
Wonderful. So for those people who want to learn more from you, about you, want to work with you, authors, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
So you can reach me at my website, foglioprint.com. That's Foglio print.com. And just fill out the contact form or email me, and I'd be happy to reach out. You can also reach us on Instagram, it's foglio.studio. And there I showcase a few different design techniques and insights on typefaces and all kinds of nerdy book things like that. So
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
thank you, AJ. Good speaking with you.